Shabbos, sir.
Good Shabbos.
You better tell people to come or they're going to miss services.
And that's a threat?
Yeah.
Let's start singing Bim Bam. That'll get them in here.
Hey, Mary.
How are you?
All right. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Don't they know
You're
we
all here.
always
Are you
start-
working? I don't want to disturb you if you're
No.
communicating or working or. Busy. Oh,
It's getting to be busy season.
it is. That's true. And that plus everything else.
So I told you that I wouldn't be able to do Torah on Yom Kippur.
Yeah. Just
My service is going to be every Rosh Hashanah.
You know, I've heard of it, I know.
So it's near Corning. It's near.
It's a good thing I will not be
So
in
my sister
position by that time.
Fair enough. 14 weeks ago, 15 weeks ago. Now she is back home.
And I missed it.
She's there transitioning.
Yeah.
That's good as usual.
You know, the story of the old fireballs, the fire horses.
It could have been a lot worse.
The fire trucks are horse drawn.
And she was
When the bell would ring, the horses would come out of the stable and go stand in space in the right place to be harnessed. So they did. I'm the same way. I still think I got a response.
right.
She is part of the service.
Communication.
Yep.
I'm not gonna, you know, I'll keep asking in the future too.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried.
Check out. It's really hard. It's fun, but it's like my turn. So,
I see.
I don't know, which was fine. No, I mean,
Your native feet up on the rotation.
and it made sense. It only made sense. It made a lot of sense. My siblings were treated.
How many sisters?
I have 4 siblings.
Are they still on the West Coast?
Three live on the west coast. I don't hear them.
Are they all still in LA?
One's in LA, 2 are in Berkeley.
Are they in Toronto?
So my brother sort of lives in Oakland and sort of lives in Berkeley. He has two things. He has a flat in Berkeley and then they have a house in Berkeley over in Hawaii. It's technically
That's right.
in Rockridge.
Yeah.
Parks.
Yeah, I grew up in Montclair.
And my sister who lives in Oakland, south of them. And then another sister who lives in Scranton. They've got to get off their asses.
Right. Tell them, send the rotation list out, send all those little doodle surveys out that we all get, saying, hey, here are your potential days.
That's right.
You know, I mean, I used to, actually, that's force you to do this.
And you?
I'm doing good. My talent is Scott Perry. Yeah, in February. Boy.
Hey, Alan.
So the answer would be yes. I asked you for coming today.
Did you ask me if I was coming? Oh, not yesterday.
So you didn't even read my emails? I said, we'll talk. I said, no. Actually, what I
I
did.
don't look at my phone every 5 minutes to see how do you get through stuff.
He's retired. He gets to do things like that.
What I did say, so Alan brought up the question, should we be not requiring but highly encouraging older individuals to move past this? I personally, because I think at this point in the evolution of this virus, people have enough information at this point to know to make their own decision. However, we should offer executive responses either that necessarily even encourage the same
not doing it?
Me?
Yeah.
Not with the surgery. No.
Oh, so it's your fault.
If you're younger,
My
I
contact
had a
lenses.
couple of my
My
teachers
lenses
Yeah.
fall.
they came down with COVID for the last
Also,
over summer.
they just can't see how
A
they
couple
go.
of people in their
Yeah.
30s. They're knocking their butts for a week.
At least highly vaccinated.
Yeah, it's just
Actually, if we're being honest,
So
it's
get
your
the-
fault
get
for
the
agreeing
news
with you
through.
for the learning session. Yeah.
That's just why I was GD6.
Yeah, because you knew I was gonna be there.
I knew you were already
I
going to
watched
teach.
I'm more than happy to.
I was also aware that we had to yesterday afternoon.
Yes, honey.
That's part of it.
Not,
It is.
not the car.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so many of us. So many of us. Actually, there's, they're unclear. They sort of, they have definitely lost members in the past couple of years. Because some of the businesses, reasons that people came to Wausau, since they don't have to show up in person, they don't need to live there anymore. And they, just made the decision that they no longer, they're not going to have to go to the bank. Actually, no, never mind. Go up once a month. She's doing high holidays, so she's gonna do once a month. I know, which is, it's a long time since they haven't had.
We are.
First time we had a full-time rep.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually I'm going through my mother's photo albums.
I don't remember.
And I just
Although
found
I'm
some
already
pictures of Rabbi Madison.
More hospitals are going that way.
Yeah.
Now I guess you could be in public spaces, you don't have any.
Yeah. That way.
I heard that, having visited this place.
Rabbi passed away.
Did they make when you were sitting?
They make that, that's interesting. I wear, I don't know, Mark before. I have to tell where.
We intentionally have it running through social hall,
Well,
sanctuary,
I'm
and
going
community.
through, I'm now getting to some of the early Wausau albums, and there was I see somebody who looks like
I,
in the picture.
well, I've heard what the sound is on the live.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the same
I'm
sound.
gonna look. Because my mother has everybody else's pictures, she probably has yours as well.
Go back that way. Okay.
I was so pleased that it allows me to be completely mobile through all three spaces. I don't ever have to be hooked into something stationary.
Yeah. But
It's
you're
great.
not gonna go back here.
Right. Right.
New technology sound. When it's so much better. But when I was doing it took us years to have wireless mics because and until it went to radio frequencies, we kept picking up the JFK tower. So we couldn't have, it was crazy. We couldn't hear.
Wait for me. I might be a little late. Just wait.
And we used to get, and occasionally at the very beginning of cell phones, we would get conversations. And inevitably, our sound system, I have to say again, well, yeah, this is all the new technology.
What their alternative was if they were
So, Karen, you're here, but Russell. Or on. Yeah, no. The tip is,
was just like the start line.
Harvey, how are you? I just got another notice last week. I didn't know the person. I keep on looking for your name. My name was. I love it. Look at my newspaper saying, my name is.
Shabbat Shalom, friends. We're going to start in a few moments. Please be sure if you'd like to follow along with the prayer book and get prayer book. Make sure you have it.
Shabbat Shalom. Somewhere there is a microphone that is making noise. Don't know whose mic that is.
It's yours.
Pardon me?
It's yours.
It's mine, I'm told. Not to deal with that. If it keeps it up, I'll turn it off. Use a different one. But it is beautiful to see you here on this Erev Shabbat. Those of you who are joining us here in the sanctuary, those who are with us online, we are so glad that you're all here with us on this lovely evening. The heat has dissipated. You're going like this. Am I not on the air?
Your mic's not working.
Your mic's not working. Oh, okay. So my mic's not working. Let's go ahead and we'll fix it. We'll fix it. Just sing a little bit. We'll fix the mic.
Well, is my mic working okay?
Yes.
Okay, well then, while Rabbi is getting his microphone situation fixed, let's just sing a little nigun, a melody to gather us in the space. This is a melody we'll be using also later in the service. It's a tune of the season in this month of Elul, leading up to the new year. Once more with feeling while we wait for our friends.
Tekiah, Shivarim, Teruah, Tekiah. Thank you. The month of Elul has started last week, and so we hear the sounds of the shofar to remind us that the new month is coming, that the new year is coming, I should say. And it's a time when we remember our responsibilities. We remember what we do as people who are observing Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, that our responsibilities are to ask forgiveness. Our responsibilities are to grant forgiveness. And those two simple things can be very hard for people, because grudges maintain themselves, because memories fade, and we're not exactly sure what happened to us or what we did to other people. And so we bear in mind, again, simply seeking forgiveness and granting forgiveness, letting things just wash away from us, remembering perhaps the past, but also pledging to do better in the future, to cementing relationships. That's what we are in the business of doing. And so we gather on this night in the month of Elul to celebrate Shabbat, to greet one another, we who may have not been seeing one another for quite a while because we've been away from the synagogue. But it's so good to see you all, and it's good to have you online with us as well. Because wherever we have our friends and family members, whether it's online on a screen or whether it is here in our community, we know that we are connected to one another. We want to invite you to turn to page 648 as we begin our worship tonight.
Havana Shira, let us sing together.
Havana Shira, Shir Hallelujah. Havana Shira, Shir Hallelujah. Havana Shira.
Havana Shira, Shir Hallelujah. 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 It actually was on page 643. Sorry, there was.
But I heard some of you
Doing
it anyway.
Some of you knew that, and that's the point too, that we have songs and words that are familiar, that really delve deep into the soul, the Jewish soul that we have, and allow us to be, as a community, singing together. I think we're gonna probably do it this way. I want to invite you to turn to page 120. Page 121 in the prayer book. On page 121, we read together the second meditation there as we welcome Shabbat. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Page 120.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner.
Shabbat. Kabbalat Shabbat is our opportunity as a community to welcome one another, as indeed we prepare our souls, we prepare our voices to offer Shabbat worship. On page 130, we begin with Lechu Niranana. Come, let us sing to Adonai. Page 130.
Adonai,
Nariya letzur yishenu, Ekadma fana bitoda, Bizmirot nariya lo, Ekadma fana bitoda, Bizmirot nariya lo. Adonai, Nariya letzur yishenu, Ikadma fana bitoda, Bizmirot nariya lo, Ikadma fana bitoda, Bizmirot nariya lo. On page 138 is Lecha Dodi.
again, our opportunity to welcome one another to this day of rest, this day of enjoyment. You know, some of the things in this psalm, in this piyut, really talk about Jerusalem as being an objective that we have to achieve the holiness of that city. And it says that we should shake off the dust, shake off the tears that we associate with that city and its history, and indeed look to that as a shining example of future joys, and even present-day joys, if there can be such a thing. So, Lecha Dodi, we offer verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and the melody that we use tonight is special too.
Yeah,
Cantor.
again, it's a melody for the season. It comes from a Sephardi piyut called Adon HaSlichot. That's actually recited in Sephardic Jewish, the piyut, I should say, Adon HaSlichot, is recited in Sephardic Jewish communities throughout the whole month of Elul, the whole month leading up to the new year. And so we borrow the melody, this very widespread, ubiquitous tune that's used with this text in those communities. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, ishmi anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, v'shem u'tiferet v'nitila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'neilcha, ki b'kor ha'beracha, v'rosh v'kedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ba'orech umi'ori, uri, uri, shir daberi, kivod Adonai alai nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela.
Verse 9, please.
Oh, Ichala, oh, Ichala, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nikavela. As I mentioned at dinner, for those of you who had supper with us a little while ago at our senior Shabbat tonight, so many of the things that we do speak of the gratitude that we have for the creations of the world, for this day of rest particularly. On page 140 is Tzadik Katamar, part of Psalm number 92, which is, I think it's the indented part, Cantor, where we'll be starting down in the middle of the page. This psalm, this prayer,
this piyut really is, this prayer, this psalm, is offering all the gratitude that we can for these moments when we remember creation.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת. צדיק אתה מר יפרח, כארז בלבל ונון יזכה, שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו, עוד ינובון בשיבה, דשנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד, כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולתה בו.
Baruch Hu, a call to worship on page 146 is where we'll go. As we now invoke formally our Ma'ariv service, the service for the evening. Now we know the sun is up. We know that as the evening slowly comes, that we sometimes grow anxious because of the dark. Perhaps there are things out there that might harm us. We drive more carefully at nighttime. We are more cautious at night, and yet we are also cognizant of God's protection and our own protective care over one another. So we begin with Ma'ariv on page 146. We invite the community to rise.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
On page 150, we continue together. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people, Israel.
ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen. Page 152.
Shema
Yisrael,
Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. You may be seated. We continue on page 155. Please join one another. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God.
I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. We also offer Micha Mocha on page 158 as our reminder of the gratitude we have for the freedom that we have been given, and also the reminder that it is our responsibility to help others with their own journey toward freedom, at the top of 158. Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Kamocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot, Osei pele, Nora tehilot, Osei pele.
מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי, ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, לעולם, לעולם, לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Amen. And on page 160, Hashkivenu reminding us not only of the care and protection that we receive from the universe, from the source of being, the source of life, but also the protection and care, again, that we can afford others by our actions. Page 160.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו Shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim, ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmor tzeiteinu Shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom, haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael
The benefits that we derive from worship are correspond, I should say, to the effort that we put in to our worship. We welcome you into our sanctuary, and we, this congregation, worship together. And the more that we engage in these thoughtful moments of prayer, the more that we delve into our own hearts to find the words and the concepts and the thoughts that are important to us, the more that we look into the prayer book and we are cued into thinking about what really is important in our lives, the more we derive benefit from our being here together, and from these words of tefillah. Again, the word tefillah comes from an ancient root that means turning inward and looking inward at oneself. And how appropriate it is that at this time of year, we perform these acts of tefillah, really indeed looking into ourselves, hoping that our behavior and our conduct in the year to come will be better than the preceding year. We begin with the tefillah on page 164. We invite the community to rise.
Adonai sifatai tifkach ufia giteilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
166.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasarim Tovim Ve'konei Ha'kol Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo ve'ahava Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ezrat Sarah.
Page 168.
Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai V'chayei hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia Morid hatal Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Memit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei hakol.
Amen. Page 170.
Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh uk'shoshim b'chol yom yihalelucha selah Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh.
We now continue with the tefillah silently, either sitting or standing, whatever your choice, whatever your custom would be, through page 183, and eventually we'll meet you back on page 180.
ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל יושבי תבל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל יושבי תבל. ואמרו אמן.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to offer some brief words of Torah tonight. And although sometimes I name my sermons, this one would have been named, it's too short, I think, but I would have named this, There Are No Jewish Lemmings. And you'll see what I mean when I get there, because I think that Jewish thinking is by definition independent. I think each one of us would like to make sure that Jewish thinking and Jewish reaction, that we come to a lot of decisions independently, we come to a lot of actions independently, and even though we are governed, many of us, by 613 specific commandments and a couple by the rabbis as well, that we always do what we believe is best for that moment. Sometimes when I read this Torah portion, I think of Bye Bye Birdie. Now, what does Bye Bye Birdie have to do with this week's Torah portion? I'll tell you. So there's a song in Bye Bye Birdie whose, I think the name of the song is Kids. And some of you may remember these lyrics, which are Harry McAfee, the father, is complaining about his children who do things that he would not have them do. He calls them noisy, crazy, dirty, lazy loafers, disobedient, disrespectful oafs. I know some of you may or may not remember those lyrics, but that's, for those of you who have been parents, that may not be far from sometimes what you feel or have felt about your own children. I'm not asking for hands, I'm just sort of stating what might be more obvious than not. But in this particular Torah portion, we have this very famous little law that comes forth that I actually printed for us in tonight's program because we had room and I wanted to share this text for you. If you want to refer to it, you can. It's there in Hebrew and in English. That if a householder has a wayward and defiant child who does not heed the parents and does not obey them, even after discipline, then the parents shall take hold of the child and bring them out to the elders of the town, to the gate of that place. The parents shall declare to the elders of the town, this child of ours is a disloyal, defiant, and gluttonous drunk who does not listen to us. Thereupon, all the people of the town shall stone the child to death, and thus you will burn away the evil from your midst. Like, you will really, purify by fire, right? All Israel, then it says this last really ominous words. It says, all Israel will hear and be afraid. This is really a very dark sounding passage. Again, I'm not saying that parents don't feel this way sometimes. They might, because some parents do believe that they have some uncontrollable children. Now, if that's the case, maybe the parents and the child need to get together and have some talks and work with guidance counselors and whatever. But sometimes it seems that this solution is too easy, and it's too easy a solution to some difficult behavioral problems. But what I find really interesting is that here, the punishment to this crime is that the Torah says that all the people in the town shall stone the child to death, right? The whole community. Now, on the one hand, the rabbis ask the question, why do we stone a child who is, okay,
the child is disloyal, defiant, glutton, maybe drunken. Why do we have to stone this child to death? And this very interesting passage from Sifrei Devarim, which is a book of Midrash about this, has this. This is even more ominous. Listen to these words. The Torah has fathomed this child's ultimate disposition. In the end, this child will squander the father's property and seek in vain the pleasures to which they have been accustomed. They will take their stand on the crossroads and rob people, and in some way or other make themselves liable to the death penalty for worse crimes. The Torah then is concluded, the Midrash says, let him die innocent of such crimes, and let them not die guilty of them. That is an amazing passage. But I want to go back to the Torah because I think the Torah has a clue for us. The passage in the Torah says that every member of the community is going to go forth and stone this child. Does that mean that if one person in the community stands up and says, no, I don't think we should do this, and I'm going to refrain, and therefore we can't fulfill this commandment? Because the commandment says all citizens must participate. So if one doesn't participate, doesn't that mean that there wouldn't be any punishment? Because not all citizens would then participate. And then it makes me think, are the judgments of one individual valid that would alter a process of jurisprudence? I'm not going to answer that question, but I'd leave it for us to debate and discuss. Because if one citizen dissents, I get the feeling, therefore, that the punishment could not proceed. In other places in the Torah, you must have 2 witnesses to a capital crime in order to effect a capital punishment. And if you can't get 2 witnesses to say exactly the same thing, and by the way, not 1 and not 3 or more, it has to be 2 exactly, then also you can't effect a capital punishment. And further, in the Torah, it says in another place as well that it says that the accusers must be the first person to throw the stone. And if the accuser won't throw the stone, therefore you can't effect a capital punishment. Torah, in some places, seems to go out of its way to say, yes, we have capital punishment, and the Torah says very clearly, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a life for a life. But it also implies that there are many ways around that very harsh penalty for people who may be guilty of disobedience, disrespect, and waywardness, as the translation might be. So if there is one person who is making an objection, maybe that person is that person who is not a lemming and does not follow along with the rest of the crowd, and therefore I think there are no Jewish lemmings. Shabbat Shalom. I wanted to, I hope you have these supplements, because I want to invite us to offer now a few prayers with one another. First, on page 4 of the supplement is a prayer for democracy. A prayer that was written by an Israeli rabbi, perhaps reflecting that country's situation in the last 6 or 7 months, but also perhaps reflecting the feelings of all democracies in the world and all democracies that wish to protect what they have for themselves. So let us read this prayer responsively. I'll begin on page 4 of the supplements tonight. And by the way, if you're joining us online, you can click on the link there to tonight's program, and you'll be able to find this reading as well. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Rebekah, Jacob, Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah, bless those who stand in defense of democracy, equality, and peace from among our people, and those all over the world who work to repair society in the face of the threat to the justice system and the rule of law.
May the Holy One protect them and save them from all trouble and distress, and from every plague and illness, from all harassment and injury, and any attempt to humiliate them and undermine their commitment in the fight against indifference, inaction, and non-involvement.
May their efforts be successful, And may they have a good eye to see wrongs done, a good heart so as not to stand idly by, and the strength to act to protect the rights of us all, to do justice, and to bring peace to every person made in the image of God in the world.
May the words of the Torah be fulfilled.
For because of this thing, God will bless you in all your efforts and all your undertakings. And let us say, Amen. On this evening, too, we offer prayers of healing and wholeness for members of our community and for many, many others who may be ill at this time, who might be in the hospital, those who are recovering from surgery, those who are hopefully going home soon, those who need wholeness in their lives, but for physical, emotional, and spiritual distress, they do not. We have around 80 people on our ongoing prayer list here, Mishaberach list at Temple Beth El. There may be people, though, in your friendship circle whose names don't appear on that list. And if there are, in a moment, I'm going to be inviting our congregation here to offer names of people whom they are thinking about, who need prayers of healing and wholeness. And for those who are joining us online, please hold in your heart those people who are in need of these prayers of healing and wholeness. Again, we don't know how God operates, and we don't understand how God works in the healing process. But we do know that when someone knows that a community such as ours is praying on their behalf, that allows them to rise, that allows them to be fuller in their own hearts and to fight the illnesses that are inside of them because they know that we are supporting them. So I turn to you now, this community that is in our sanctuary. As I look in your direction, we'll be sort of scanning around the room in this direction to offer names of people whom you would like to offer this prayer of healing and wholeness on behalf of.
Anatoly Rabinovich.
Charlie Meyer.
Matt Ruder.
Josie suffered from mental illness and substance abuse, and I'm a wounded warrior. Ollie Beckler.
Bob Jackson.
Are there others we should be thinking about?
Joanna Berg. Mikey Sarah.
People of Ukraine and Lahaina municipal life.
Dear God, aloud and in our hearts, we name those facing pain and illness and distress. We send and we join our prayers to the prayers of all who love them. On page 371 are the words of Misha Berach. Please join one another at the middle of page 371.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekol HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
The Kiddush for tonight is found on page 123. Please join Cantor Jacob and one another as we offer thanks to God for this day and for the fruit of the vine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho ve'ahava uvratzon inchilanu Zikaron lema'asei v'reishit Ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh Zeichem l'tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu bacharta ve'otanu kidashta Mikol Amim V'Shabbat Kodshecha Ve'ahava Uvratzon Inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Our service will continue now on page 586 with Aleinu. Page 586, we invite the community to rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol l'tein gdula liyotzeh breshit shehu noteh shamayim ve'yoser aretz ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינת עוזו בגופי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך
You may be seated. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, may the memory of the righteous always be a blessing. I invite you to turn to page 594. The poet has written, "It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched." At this moment in our worship, we remember those who died in recent days and those whose Yartzeiten occur at this time. As we remember these loved ones, we remember and we know and we sense and we grow from how they touched us, how they influenced us, and how they made our lives better and perhaps more potent because of what they gave us, perhaps directly and perhaps indirectly. But as we offer these names of people whom we loved, we invite those who are here tonight, if you're observing a yahrzeit or if you are in mourning, to rise as the name of your loved one is recited, and then you will be joined by the whole community as we recite the mourner's Kaddish. These are those whom we've taken into our hearts with our own. We remember the recent death of Michelle Zimmerman. We also remember these Yartzeiten, the people we continue to hold in our hearts are Bill Abrams, Daniel H. Ausman, Rabbi Martin Balanoff, Lonnie Beaver, Malka Bloom, Murray Brodsky, Linda Bublik, Helen K. Karimi, Carolyn DiTullio, Ben Elman, Ari Abraham Gannett, Zelda Goldrosen, Isaac Goldrosen, Anna L. Greenstein, Dorothy Krinsky, Eleanor Kushner, Michael Cutler, Rona Malofsky, Howard Melton, Jacob Malofsky, Helen Miller, Natalie Rosen Nemeth, Iris J. Rosenberg, Tybee Schultz, Gloria Jaffe Siegel, William Weiner, Doris Weinswig, Jay Wexler, Lorelei Wexler, Anna Wurtzel. There may be other members of this community here tonight who are remembering loved ones. And if you are, and we're sorry that your loved one's name was not on our Kaddish list, but if you would like to share names of people, of others whom you are remembering, we invite you to add names to this Kaddish list now.
Dr. Harry Knaz.
To this list, I would add those innocent people who are victims of terrorism and those people of Lahaina, the number of deaths which are mounting each day, or at least that we know about are mounting each day. Other names we should be remembering tonight? Zichronam livracha, may their memories be blessings in our hearts and the hearts and minds of all those who knew and loved them. Testifying to the faith that binds the generations of humanity together, we invite one another to rise and on page 598 to recite together these words of the mourner's Kaddish. Page 598, we join one another. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha brichu le'ela min kol bir chata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imaru. Amen. May God indeed send peace to all who mourn and comfort those who remember on this night. And we say, Amen. Amen. Please be seated. In a few moments, our worship will conclude, and when it does, we're invited to the Weinstein Community Court for, guess what, more food. No offense to anyone who wasn't here at 4:30 or 4:45, but you missed dinner, and that's okay. But those of you who were here for dinner had dessert, and we get to have more dessert because you didn't take enough the first time. So please take more after the worship in our community court. Just a few other announcements. By the way, the Oneg Shabbat tonight is sponsored by our TBE Sisterhood, our Temple Beth El Women of Reformed Judaism, and we are grateful for all of their help. We thank Summer Koff for their wonderful tech support tonight, and they were right there with a microphone right when I needed it. So thank you, Summer, very much. And thank you all for being here. What a lovely turnout this is. Again, we are, making more inroads and returning back to some great ways of Temple Beth El. So our senior Shabbat, which is very important to us, is part of tonight's observance, and we thank you all for being here. Tomorrow morning, there will be Torah study at 9 o'clock, both here in the building, present, and on Zoom. If you want to be here on Zoom, please register online. And for that goes for people who are online now and for anybody here who would like to join us online as well. This coming week, our worship schedule will be that next Friday we will be worshiping at McKee Farms Park in Fitchburg. This is our final Shabbat across Madison that we're doing this summer. We've had such beautiful summer evenings out at the parks where we've been, and now we're going to be here in the southern part of the Madison region. Please join us. We're going to be having a nosh at 5:30 p.m. If you come a little bit early, it might even be open a little bit earlier. But come to join us at 5:30 p.m. for a pre-Shabbat nosh, and we worship beginning at 6 o'clock. And also next Saturday, September 2nd, which is Labor Day weekend, there will be Torah study at 9 o'clock, again, here present in the building and on Zoom. That occasion will be led by Cantor Jacob. And tomorrow's Torah study, I did not say I'm sorry, but tomorrow's Torah study will be led by Steve Crade. On the back of your programs tonight, by the way, you have the full list of High Holy Day worship service. Not on the back, on page 7, I'm sorry. On page 7 of your programs, you have the full list of High Holy Day worship services that begin with Rosh Hashanah Eve on Friday evening, September 15th. However, for those of you who may know, even a week before that, on the Saturday evening, which is September 9th, please join us here for Selichot, the service, the annual time when we gather together as a community to begin in earnest the task of forgiveness, whether we are seeking forgiveness or whether we are granting forgiveness. Please join us Saturday evening, September 9th at 8 o'clock here in our sanctuary. We have a nosh at about 8 o'clock, have Havdalah, and then enter into our services of Slichot, within which we actually change the Torah mantles from the colored mantles that we have during the year to the white ones that we employ for High Holy Days. Please join us for that as well. We usually have a very nice, intimate community that night, but it's made even sweeter by your presence. We hope you can join us. Any other announcements, Cantor, that we should be making tonight?
I think that
we're good. We thank you for helping us sanctify this day, for making this community as sweet as it is, for doing all that you do, for being here with one another and aiding one another. Our concluding song tonight is on page 662.
Yep, on 662. In this month of Elul, there's many beautiful customs that can help us to prepare for the holy day season. People will engage in deep spiritual work it's called Cheshbon HaNefesh, which is literally taking account of one's soul, of one's inner life. It's also customary throughout this whole season, from the beginning of Elul all the way through Simchat Torah, to engage with Psalm 27. It's a beautiful psalm, gorgeous text. If you look closely at various verses, you can see why it was chosen for the season. It even refers to offerings of teruah being one of the sounds of the shofar as well. And this beautiful verse 4, one thing I have asked, only this do I seek, that I may dwell in God's presence all the days of my life, that I may gaze upon the beauty of the divine and visit God's holy dwelling place. Achat sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh. Achat sha'alti meit Adonai ota avakesh. Shiti b'veit Adonai kol yemei chayai. Benoam Adonai ulevaker beheichalo. Nachazot benoam Adonai ולבקר בהיכלו. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אותה אבקש. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני, אותה אבקש. שבתי בבית אדוני, כל ימי חיי, לחזות בנועם בנועם אדוני, ולבקר בהיכלו. לחזות בנועם בנועם אדוני, ולבקר בהיכלו.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Please join us in the Weinstein Community Court.